What's up, everybody? I am the Headbanger, and welcome back to another version, episode, webisode, whatever, of Horrors Ball. Thank you for watching. I mentioned something. First few shows, first few installments were actually taped months ago, beginning of the year to be exact. Computer took a crash, finally got a new one. Anyway, here we are in current day, going on with Horrors Ball. Again, thank you for watching. Also have an addendum for some comments I made on a previous show. Certainly not taking them back, but redemption does not discriminate. So I'm man enough to say that a certain website that I mentioned before, that certainly in the past has put their name to some really lame quotes or some really lame horror movies. I will say it appears that currently they're getting much better in their recommendations. I won't say the name of the website, but also I hear that they have a label that they've come out with now, which is bringing European horror films, foreign horror films, which I of course love, as many of you do. Bringing them, making them more available to us here in North America. And anybody who would do that, I completely support. And I believe their first film that I heard that was going to come out, be more accessible to the North American audience, was a film called Rambach, which is a pretty solid German zombie film. So if you haven't been able to see that, I think the other name is Siege of the Dead would be the English translation. If you haven't seen that film, certainly check that out, and you'll be able to much easier because of a website that I will not name names. But they appear to be coming around, which is cool, because there's nothing more that I hate than just websites and companies that put stupid quotes for really bad movies. Anyway, to the show. Go back. Thank you for subscribing, all you that have. Please subscribe, please, if you haven't yet. You like watching this, or if you don't, subscribe anyway, because it looks cool having a higher number. Facebook, if you're watching this on YouTube, please catch me on Facebook, drop me a line. Please use my page as a bulletin board. If you've seen a good movie lately, post it on there. If you've seen a bad horror movie lately, post it on there, warn the rest of us. Anything, just use it as your tool to communicate with each other and give each other recommendations and whatnot. And of course, my recommendations will be on there as well. Okay, question for you. Today's topic: how many great horror films do you feel a director has to direct for them to be considered a great horror director? Is it 2, 3, 4, 6, 1? Me personally, in my not so humble opinion, I would say if you make 3 legitimately great horror films, I think that makes you a great horror director. It doesn't make you one of the best of all time, no, but it certainly should get you up there in consideration and various discussions about great horror directors. And that's what I'm going to talk about today. Someone who I feel is underrated, maybe overlooked. I know a lot of you diehards probably feel strongly as I do about this director, but every now and then I'll do a overlooked and underrated show just about either a director or films, an actor, whatever, that I feel is kind of like overlooked in the horror world. So this person is an Italian director. His name is Michele Soavi. That's at least the way I'm going to pronounce it. It's probably wrong, but he's an Italian director who unfortunately no longer makes horror films. His first 4 films were in the horror genre, and as far as I'm concerned, all 4 of them were great, which in my mind easily makes him a great horror director. He actually still makes films, like I said, but they are, I believe, action, some drama. So I believe he's still actively directing, and I have not seen any of his non-horror films, but I definitely would like to support him. But his first 4 films were horror. I wish he would have kept making horror films, but he certainly left quite a mark in my mind. First film I'll mention is I actually don't have this one. I have a DVR copy of it because it's actually tough to get, and I just haven't gotten my hands on one yet. It's called The Sect. Like I said, kind of hard to get. If you haven't seen it, definitely seek it out. You can find it on European sites. It'll be a little pricey, but it's certainly worth it. I think of the 4 films, it's my least favorite, but it's still really good. Probably the craziest of the 4. I won't even describe much, so you have to see it. It's pretty crazy. Then we'll get to his other three. I'll start with The Church. Absolutely fantastic. If you haven't seen this, please do. That's why I am here. I want you, if there's any of you that haven't seen any of these movies, please check them out. That's why I want you to heed my words. Church, really cool thing about this, it has a young Asia Argento, of course, Dario Argento's daughter. She's really young in this film, really good. Has one of my favorite EBs. That is a Euro Babe for the Babe Index. We gotta put that back on there. I actually love her. Barbara Cupisti. She's fantastic. This whole cast is great, and coolest thing, it just has a really cool vibe. It's a really vibey movie, which is cool about Michele's movies. A lot of them are very different. All four of them are pretty diverse. And this has the titular church is actually this. If they were to remake this film, God forbid, today, I just know that the church would be a CGI rendering. It would just be awful. And God, I hate CGI. Sorry. I hate CGI. So, but the church is awesome. It's this actual like Gothic cathedral, and it looks really great. And it's really a character in itself for the film. So please, awesome movie, The Church. I know definitely if you haven't really heard of Michele Soavi, you definitely probably at least heard of this film. Cemetery Man, actual title, Della Morte dell'Amore. Great film, very quirky compared to his other ones. Has, of course, Rupert Everett, who I don't think I've seen any other film with him in it, but this is plenty. He's fantastic in this. Anna Felci, another EB. And of course, you can't forget one of the, really, besides those two, a great highlight of this film, has this adorable, lovely, portly, bald guy. He's just adorable. And like I said, he's portly. Isn't that a great word? There's some of those words that have definitions that don't allow us to use it often enough. Portly is certainly one of them. So please, once a day, can you just take it upon yourself to try to use the word portly? Or you can just recommend this film to your friends once a day and mention the portly fellow in this awesome film. What an ending. Great ending. Please, if you haven't seen this, this is a classic. Della Morte dell'Amore, probably his most known film by Michele Soavi. Finally, this would be my favorite, and I'm doing these not in order that they were made, but my favorite is actually his first. A hell of a debut for any director in any genre. That's Stage Fright, and this is a slasher film. One of my favorite horror movies, one of my favorite slasher films, and one of my favorite killers. You actually have to have a cool killer for a slasher to be successful, in my opinion, and this one blows it away. It's a killer with an owl mask, and this is actually like not even close to a picture of it, but an amazing killer. Has this massive owl mask, which is awesome. It also stars, again, Barbara Cupisti as well, one of my favorite EBs. She's fantastic. Not incredibly gory, but gory enough. It's very artsy. Of all his films, I would say this, somewhat The Church as well, but this one more so than any. You can see his, definitely his influence from Dario Argento, and he was actually, early in his career, he was considered a Argento protege. He worked with Argento before on some of his films, kind of took him under his wing. So Dario's definitely had a big influence on him. You can really see it, I think, in this film. Another cool anecdote about Soavi is he's also an actor early in his career, and he's been in some horror films. And he's actually, all of you who are fans of course, Lucio Fulci films, seen in City of the Living Dead, one of my favorite scenes ever is when him and his girlfriend are sitting in the car, and she of course begins to upchuck whatever that is coming out of her guts. He's actually the boyfriend in the car with her. That is him, the great Michele. So if you didn't know that, it's a cool little anecdote for you. So please, my overlooked and underrated director is Michele Soavi, Italian director. If you haven't seen any of these four films, The Sect, The Church, Cemetery Man, Stage Fright, please check them out. But on this note, there's something I have to get off my horror chest. I hate to do this because I hate to take time to do this because I love these movies and I love these directors, because it definitely continued on and probably originated really with Dario Argento films. You know what I'm talking about. I'm sure plenty of you like it. I'm sure plenty of you don't like it. I'm sure plenty of you don't really want to talk about it. But it's that whole that whole music situation. It's not in all their films, but I bring this up now because it is actually in certain points of stage fright. And unfortunately, a lot of these films are great on vibe and they build up an atmosphere, and I really like that, especially in slasher films. You kind of have that stalk and slash, and the atmosphere really picks up. You got these great set pieces, and a lot of the rest of the film has some cool music, like a lot of times classical music, which I love, or maybe it's some creepy goblin music. But then at some point, after all the build up, we have that music. You know what I'm talking about? Either the really bad 80s heavy metal solos or the proggy progressive type metal riffs that just suddenly burst out when you least expect it, and by the second time you see a movie like this, you totally expect it. And unfortunately, it happens a lot. It happens in many of Darrow's films, who I absolutely love, and he could arguably be my favorite horror director. I'm certainly not knocking him, but really, honestly, I might be nitpicking here, but that may be the only thing that keeps some of these films, from my estimation, being just perfect horror films. So in case you don't know, or you don't realize, again, I've been blessed with the gift of analogy, so I'm going to give you another analogy, and of course it involves the opposite sex. Or, this is a homosexual friendly show. To all my homosexual bangers out there, if you're with a guy or a girl or whatever the situation is, and you go on a date, you take her home, right? It's all about vibe, right? And atmosphere. You want to get them in the sack. So you want to create the vibe and atmosphere. That's what these films are like. These Argento films, film like Stage Fright. You got the nice set pieces, right? You got at times some nice classical music. And you're with the girl and you got the Barry White playing right in the background. You're feeling it, she's feeling it. You get her upstairs, you got the candles on, right? You start the foreplay, and the foreplay in these films is like the lead up. You got the character development, you got the situation, the first kill happens, everything starts to slowly come together, right? And all of a sudden, at the height, you're rounding third, you got the guy with the owl mask, he's coming around the bend, bam, the door gets kicked open, Buzz Killington and his friends come in. What's up, guys? You want a party? And they're playing their progressive riffs or their awful heavy metal riff. I just don't understand it. I never did. It's something that always bothered me. The movie Opera from Dario Argento is one of my favorites of all time. And just when everything's at the height, its zenith, the epitome of coolness, it just comes in with one of these really, in my estimation, really awful, proggy 80s metal riffs. But I understand that was an 80s thing. It was an Italian thing. I just had to get off my chest, at least. I don't know how you feel about that, but anyway, please see these films. Michele Soavi, in my estimation, very, very underrated. Unfortunately, he stopped after Cemetery Man, I believe, and he graced us with 4 fantastic horror films. Okay, I got a package recently, so let's go to the mailbag, and I'll show you a couple cool hard boxes that I received, and then we'll come back and wrap things up.